Oh, hi. It's late. It's already after 7. I gotta get moving. Good morning. Oh, this lighting is so dramatic. I feel like I'm in a witness protection video. See if we can do better than that. That looks a little better. I get asked a lot of breakfast. I get asked a lot of questions about why do we do this? Why do we do this YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook Live, social media thing that we do? You know, you may be different from me in that you may have a different business, but the model of the business that we're in is pretty much the same, I think. And that is providing our expertise and our wisdom and advice to an audience that we build on the internet. And that is an opportunity that's never existed before. I mean, in all of history, you always had to know somebody who knows somebody. You had to get past gatekeepers who gave you permission to do what you want to do. Or in the case of great artists like Michelangelo, you had to have commissions, and you still have to have that today. But now it's so much easier to get those commissions. So much of it is not left to chance or birth or connections that you were just handed. You can create those connections yourself by putting your work out there. Imperfect, perhaps. Mine certainly has been on this YouTube channel, has been very imperfect. It still is. I'm still learning how to do this. But see, that's the thing. We can learn in public, and it's okay. It used to be we had to be perfect. In fact, when I started in the radio business as a programmer, that's the guy in charge of the radio station. Everything you hear on the station comes from the mind, the imagination of the programmer and his staff, or her staff. I went to a conference, the first big conference I ever went to, and one of my radio heroes was there. He spoke from the stage. He was a pretty controversial guy, and I talked to him after the speech, stood in line like a fanboy, like so many other people did, and I told him how much I admired him and what I wanted to do with my career. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, Ray," he had that grizzled veteran voice, "what you do is you make all your mistakes in the small markets before anybody can see them. And then when you're ready, you light a bonfire and we'll all see it." Which I thought was a very romantic notion. And I've heard this kind of advice before, like make your mistakes on a small scale so nobody sees them. But I think that rule has changed. Because that rule presumes that when you give your portfolio to someone to examine before they hire you or bring you on for a project, that your work looks perfect. That you present the most perfect picture possible. That was what the whole resume, interview, portfolio, sales pitch model was based on. But now, people can see through these pictures of perfection we so carefully craft because the internet reveals everything. Nothing is hidden. So I think the answer to that problem of nothing being hidden is to embrace it, to step into it, to lean into it, and say, okay, nothing's hidden, so let me show you everything. Let me show you how the sausage is made in my factory. Let me show you my mistakes. Let me share with you my misgivings, my insecurities, my overconfidence in some cases. Let me show you all this, so now you really get to know me. That's what we're saying to people. That's what you're saying to people when you put up your YouTube videos, when you put your postings on Facebook, when you tweet, when you status update, when you Instagram your life. And I think those people who fake their online presence are always found out, and I think nowadays it's more than being found out. People sense that you're faking it, and we get that sense of, well, their life seems perfect, and then when we meet them we're disappointed because they're not the idol that they created for us to worship. I'm not trying to make anybody evil or wrong. I'm just saying that seems like a lot of work to me. It seems so hard to keep that image up, and it seems so hard to keep from disappointing people when they meet you. So either you have to really be able to fake it in person with a carefully crafted persona, or you could just be real. And if you're just real, then the person they meet and the person they see online are the same person, and people are not disappointed. This has got so much to do with your marketing, because marketing is not selling. Marketing is spreading your message. And this, of course, presumes that you have a message to spread. And you might, at this point in the conversation, be saying, well, gosh, Ray, I run a auto body shop. I don't really have a message to spread. Don't you really? Don't you have opinions about what makes up good work in the auto body industry? What is craftsmanship and what is hack work that's a ripoff? Don't you have opinions about that? Don't you have certain cars or certain processes that yield paint jobs and a look on a vehicle that you just love, that really lights you up, it was the reason you got into that business to begin with. Don't you have that? If you don't, maybe you should be doing something else. And that's an avenue that the internet affords us that was also not available to us in the past. Often we were trapped in jobs because they were the only jobs we could likely get. Often the job you had was the best job you were ever going to have, so you hung on to it tooth and nail. Now you can switch careers at the drop of a hat or the snap of a finger. But I think you can see from what I was saying just now that even if you run an auto body shop or a nail salon or an equipment rental store, like we rented a big lift for the coffee shop not long ago because Sean was putting up some sound panels to cut down on the echo in the shop. That company rents all kinds of big equipment, and I always want to know, what's their story? How did that guy get started running that business? And then I think about what kind of marketing could you do if you had a company like that? Well, you could have a big boy toy weekend where you could have all of your equipment on a farm or on a vacant lot and just have people come in and drive this stuff. I mean, I'd pay to do that. Seriously, if you're doing that, let me know. But you see my point. There's something exciting and interesting about every business. And every business can benefit from letting the personality of the business owner, the entrepreneur, come through on their YouTube channel, on their Facebook profile, on their Twitter feed, and let that personality come through, because that's the one thing that nobody can duplicate. They can rip off your processes, they can rip off the look and feel of your store, they can rip off the content of your course that you make, but they can't rip off you. They can't rip off your personality. They can't fake being you. Only you can be you. That's an unfair advantage that you have that everybody has. The people who say, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do this social media thing, I don't want to put myself out there like that. That's the price of playing the game these days. If you're not playing that game, you're not going to be playing the game at all very long, because you'll be out of business. So just like in the past, there were certain businesses that turned their noses up at advertising on radio or television or in print. They just didn't do it. And then there's some of their competitors began to do it, and they found themselves squeezed to make a decision. Either I've got to, as an attorney or as a physician or whatever their professional practice was, I've got to either advertise and market like this guy over here is doing, or I'm going to have to work for that guy. And that's the situation we're in now. I heard somebody make the observation recently that young people today getting started out, their ambition is not to be a TV star, not to be a movie star, for the most part. Most of them have an ambition to make it big on YouTube, to make it big on Instagram, and make their living there. Some of us in a generation or two before them scoff at those ambitions, and they say, that's not a real job. But it is a real job. I'm 52 years old as I record this, and this is my job. This is how I make my living. And I'm not even anywhere near the cutting edge of this movement. And probably if you're watching me, neither are you, because most of my audience is my age or older. My point, and I do have one, is this is the future of business, and it's here and now. And my question for you, my challenge for you today is, what are you doing to embrace this change and lean into it? Or are you trying to ignore it and trying to run away from it? Because if you are, get out of the game. Now, save yourself the anguish, the anxiety, the pain, the frustration, and do something else that doesn't require this of you, like work for the people who are doing this kind of thing. If you are in business for yourself and you want to make a go of your art, of your photography, of your videography, of your dog training business, of your nail salon, of your auto body shop, of your legal practice, whatever business you're in, if you want to make it happen, then embrace social media, embrace putting yourself out there, letting your personality shine through, and enjoy the fact that now you get to know lots of people faster. You can take 10 years, what would have taken 10 years a generation ago to build up in terms of trust and goodwill in a business, you can now build up in 10 months or less online. You got to work. It takes work to do it. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to make the change in mindset? Are you? I guess we'll see. Show me. Show me your channel. Show me your feed. Tell me about what you do. Do that in the comments below, in fact. And I'll see you tomorrow in the next video.